levels to being a Walter Mitty, I guess.
Yeah,
aren't
so
there?
an example would be someone who's in the army claims to be in the special forces, or around that kind of thing, that kind of vibe. If you're in the know, you would know that they're chatting shit. If you're a civvy and they're just down the pub spinning dits, then you'd probably not know it, and you'd probably think, "Oh fucking hell, what a legend!" And that's what they're looking for. Is essentially the long and short of it. But yeah, it again, like you said, there's a spectrum, and they're on the spectrum, and either they're a civilian and just completely have done nothing in their life, regards to the military, and claim to have done, and they usually make pretty outlandish claims as well. You're not going to like impersonate being in the services and be like, oh yeah, I spent 4 years in the logistics corps and didn't do anything. Yeah. You're going to go, okay, I won a military cross in Afghan or something.
Yeah, if you're going to do it, you're going to double down, aren't you? You're going to go to the nth degree. Like, you're going to say you won like a military cross in Helmand or whatever.
Yeah, and all the fucking interviews you would have seen on YouTube, you can go and type them in, they're quite funny, where a service member, so the Walter Mitty in question will go up to this serving person thinking they're a civvy or thinking they're none the wiser, and spin them their well-prepared story about how good their service was or whatever, and that veteran the real veteran will proceed to tear them a new one, which is hilarious to watch. And also, yeah, they rely on just being able to talk to civilians essentially.
So like, I would never, as a civilian, I would never dream of doing this.
Bizarre.
Like, you've got to have a lot of bottle, especially if you're a civilian posing as someone in the military. I guess if you're already in the military, you have a slight air of credibility, but then again,
you also have an edge because you kind of will know the lingo, you'll know
so
where the units are, and
so you can definitely make it more plausible to civilians.
Yeah,
but you get found out by people who are in the know, who are also in the military.
The only people that will find you out in that case probably are the people who are in that unit you're claiming to be in. So if you get unlucky enough, but the civvies who do it, it's quite funny because they'll be like saying whatever they're saying, and then the veteran will be like, oh yeah, so where's that unit based, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I was in 8-9 Commando. It's like,
right. So we had a prominent.
So you weren't we?
So we have first-hand experience of this.
Yeah,
don't we?
We do.
So when you were actually in, we're gonna go there. So when you were in we won't name names. When you were in the Corps, you hosted a house party on one of your leaves, didn't you? And
let's go through it.
Someone turned up. He wasn't invited. Says a lot about his character as a Walter Mitty.
Shock.
Then proceeded to start spinning dits to you about how he was in the Corps.
Yeah.
But he didn't know. Did he know you were in the Corps? He did.
No,
oh, really?
He did. Because
so
that was an in for him. That was a conversation.
Right.
Like a common ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was in the Corps at this point. Again, had a party, and this guy, when you're fucking couple of beers deep and you start spinning dits.
And maybe other nefarious substances.
Yeah,
he was the type.
In his case. And essentially he would be like, all right, trying to chat to me on common ground about what the units are like, what deployments are like, all that sort of, standard chat. And I was like, the stuff he was saying was kind of on point, like 80% there, but there was a little bit missing. And also the fact that, this isn't always true, but it certainly should be, and it normally is, certainly with Marines, is that you kind of have to pry to get to know what they did and to get to know stuff. He was far too willing to gob off about it, essentially, which was a red flag. I then did some digging via Instagram.
So the night happened or whatever. We were pissed, so we didn't dig too much into it on the actual night.
Yeah.
There was just a few
red flags.
Few red flags arose and a few words were said. But following that, we did some digging on Instagram, didn't we? And well, go on.
Yeah, so I did some digging on Instagram, and this is someone who posts pretty much everything important in their life, like everyone does. And so I scroll right to the bottom of their Instagram, and I see a photo of him in foundation with his Lumi tab on. Lumi tab is like a luminous bit of mind tape you have to wear in the first 2 weeks of training. So I'm like, okay, cool. He was in the first 2 weeks of training. Next couple of photos up, there's one of him just in the accommodation. It's like, okay, cool. That was like 4 weeks later. There's then another photo at about week 15. So you have a troop fought in week 15. And and you get an individual photo. He posted that. I was like, okay, cool, week 15. So he posted his initial photo. He posted his week 15 photo. That person is 100% going to post when they get the green lid.
Yeah.
There's no question, right? I posted it. Loads of people posted it. It's the fucking thing you're there for, right? I scroll up. There's nothing. So there's no post after that week 15 photo that I could find of him anywhere near the commando phase, passing phase 2, getting into King Squad. There was no photo of him with his green lid on. Even since then, having served 6 months or whatever he served before he got medically discharged, was the story. There was no photo of any of that, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that was a massive red flag. And I was like, So you've posted 3 photos.
And it just fucking dried up like a mirage in the desert, didn't it?
And they're all from sub week 15.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was quite a funny personal one that we kind of know of.
It's just the front of it, though, because we don't really know this guy.
No.
It's like friends of friends, isn't it, really? So he's turned up to your fucking little soiree, which wasn't anything mental either, so it was a weird vibe in of itself, because it's like, we know everyone there, and then there's just him.
Yeah, there was like a couple of... They brought their entourage,
He's caught on to the fact that you're in the Corps.
Yeah.
And instead of thinking...
Oh, better steer clear of this.
Instead of thinking, I'll be honest and say, I was in training or whatever, and then I got medically discharged, or thinking, I definitely won't pretend I was in the Corps, knowing full well that I haven't been. What he's decided to do is he's gone, oh, that's just cool, yeah. I'll also pretend I'm in the Corps to this stranger that I don't know in the party that I'm not invited to.
So also, what I'd say is, under the influence, you could maybe let it off. Not let it off, but like, you could say, okay, things get blown out of proportion, people tell you things that maybe aren't true, okay, cool. I've seen him on multiple other occasions, however.
Yeah.
And he's also doubled down on this story. So, like, it's not like it's a one-off.
So we've got another close mate who's in the Corps.
Yeah.
Who he's done exactly the same. He's literally, like, word for word, like, verbatim, spun the same story to, at a different social occasion we weren't at.
Yeah, this is another... There's another thing.
He's a repeat offender.
That exact night that we were talking about, he was there, our mutual friend who's actually in the Corps. He was there the second time it happened, right? So, and we were in like a square. So it was me and Eddie, our friend who's in the Corps.
We're all on we're all like in the know now at this point, aren't we? I remember this.
We've convened.
And
we know,
he's a helmet. So now we're just fishing.
Yeah,
basically. We're just fucking having him on. I'd forgotten about this.
So that our mate was like, oh yeah, so how was your 30 mile? He was like, oh, that £80 burger gets heavy, doesn't it, or something like that. He obviously carried £30 in the 30 mile, and he was like, yeah, fucking hell, hang out that was. How long did yours take? Yeah, 10 hours, same, mate. Fucking like, it's completely ridiculous.
Like me, I could never do what you lads do in the Corps, like, fucking hats off to you, mate.
Feeding his ego. Yeah, fucking love it. But yeah, that was hilarious. I'm glad we brought that up. Also, I want to say, if you've watched, and you'll know what I'm talking about as soon as I say it, the SS Who Dares Wins. If you watch that, this is just an honourable mention.
I already know what you're going to say.
I think it's like halfway through one of the seasons. And Ant Middleton and, is it Ollie Ollerton? Yeah, two of the staff anyway, sit down with this bloke, because they bring him in and they sit him down, interview him about their past, why they're there, that kind of thing. They've been on Facebook doing some digging, and the same kind of thing really. This guy had told Facebook that he'd been in the Paras.
He put it on his CV as well. That he sent into the show.
Oh, yeah.
No, he didn't.
No, they found his CV on Facebook.
They found his CV on Facebook, that's it.
So he put it on his CV that he was a para for like a couple of years. And then they asked him. And also...
They pull him in for one of these grillings, don't they?
Yeah.
That they do for the purpose of the show, where it's like it's like an interrogation setup, but it's kind of basically to get a bit more backstory on the actual contestants. Yeah.
So... and he'd been asked, as they all are asked at the start of the show, anyone got military experience? He'd not put his hand up. So at that point, he's like, okay, cool. No one's got it. Sweet. And then they've been online. They're like, okay, why the fuck is he saying he's got military experience there and not saying it when he's asked face to face? Then they ask him in the interview, And he's like, oh yeah, they literally go, we've been doing some digging on Facebook. You've got quite an interesting story, haven't you? You've got quite, and they turn the laptop round and it's his Facebook post with him claiming to be in the Paras, and he's like proper shook, and he's like, fuck, I don't know what to do.
Aren't they like, yeah, immediately his face drops.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the exact wording, but it's a bit like, it's Billy Billingham, isn't it, actually? He was a Para,
yeah.
and like, did a lot of shit in the Paras as well.
Yeah,
and it's Ant Middleton. So Ant Middleton is kind of like, I'd say it's bad cop, isn't it, really?
It's hilarious.
So
like,
he's leading it, and he's going, oh, like, tell us about your time in the
just
Paras.
like what you were doing to that bloke, by the way, like proper leading him to fall, leading into water.
And then Billy Billingham chips in, and he's like, you're in the Brotherhood? Like, he goes to shake his hand, and this bloke, he's like fucking sweating profusely at this point.
And you can see Ant Middleton on his chair, like proper shaking.
Yeah,
like,
he's shaking.
He's ready to like launch himself.
And he goes like, why didn't you tell us you were in the Paras? And he'll go, well, actually, he's like a Geordie, and he's like, oh, well, actually, drill instructor, it's a lie. And he's, I fucking knew it, you fucking cunt. And he's fucking, honestly, he's like the best, like, 2 minutes of television ever. Just search on YouTube, SAS Who Dares Wins Walter Mitty. It will come straight up.
Yeah, and it's fucking worth the 2 minutes as well.
Because you just know it's coming, and it just makes it all the better.
Yeah, and you'll see Ant Middleton vibrating in his chair.
Yeah, I'm amazed he didn't fucking leather him, to be honest, because he's seething,
he was
isn't
definitely
it?
close. Anyway, that's a long, unplanned segment, which I feel.
I'm glad we covered that. Actually, there's one final Walter Mitty hat that you need to cover, and this is an example of someone who is in the military,
right?
But he's overselling themselves, right?
Okay.
And they're a prominent, what I would term kind of military fitness influencer. We won't name names, but
I should say as well, my source for this, this isn't 100% true, but my source for this is extremely reliable, right? So, yeah, prominent name.
This is a prominent name. If you're in that circle, you will know who it is. And also, it's not... I'm not just saying this for his over-exaggeration. He's not popular for what he does in the military anyway.
Yeah, I would say
because he kind of makes light of it, doesn't he, really, for his own personal gain.
Yeah.
He kind of glorifies it, really, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely. And
he's like a Hollywood soldier.
And again makes out that he's done things that he hasn't.
Yeah, so he may, and again, this isn't 100% confirmed, but he may or may not have claimed that he'd done certain tours of duty that he hadn't been on.
Yes, and he could have been on them.
Again, we don't know, and if he has, then
and he has,
apologies.
Fair play, but yeah, from my source, he hasn't. Anyway, you'll know probably who we're talking about if you are in that sphere. But anyway, we won't name names because we could fall foul of some stuff. Anyway.
Alternatively, find us out on a night out when I'm half cut, and I'll just tell you. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll call him a hat.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that clip.
If you want to see the full conversation, then head to the top link in the description.